Hello, friends. This is film critic Awan from Cine Blues, and I'm very excited to have the editing team of Delhi Crime 2, which just released on Netflix, and it is doing great on the streaming space. So please welcome Antara, Manas, and Parikshit to our show. Hi, guys. How are you doing? All good?
All
Hi.
good.
Okay.
All good.
So
Thank you for having us.
yeah, so Delhi Crime 1 was really good, and the season 2 is also at par, and it is meeting all the expectations. It is having the viewers excited, and it has gripped the viewer for its amazing content. But I do understand that what goes behind the things, the scheme of things that you all see, and how editing basically forms the backbone of any plot, any narrative. So, tell me, I would like to hear from one of you, like what were the challenges basically what you faced while editing Delhi Crime 2? You worked in two episodes, he said. Antara worked in one, Parikshit worked in two, and Manas also worked in two of the episodes out of the five. So I understand there would be a great collaboration, but what would typically the challenges that you faced? I would like to understand from each of you. So Manas can go in first.
I think the first and the biggest challenge for all of us was to work remotely in this situation all through the several lockdowns.
Yeah.
We started this project back in 2020, and over 2.5 years working remotely with each other, with the filmmakers, with the producers. It was not something that I think I can speak for all three of us. We were prepared for, or have trained for it either. So it was a big challenge, sort of handling a project of this scale and this stature, um, to do remotely. Initially, just before the first lockdown, we did have some exchanges and experiences. We were working out of a studio where all three of us were next to each other,
Right.
and ever since then we were yearning for that chemistry, because we were feeding off of each other constantly, of creatively, and how we were approaching our respective episodes.
Yeah.
So for me to start with, that was the biggest challenge.
Okay. Parikshit, your thoughts about that?
No, adding to what Manas said, of course, editing remotely and through the pandemic was a challenge. But with respect to this project, it's also the first time I'm collaborating with two other editors.
Uh-huh.
So it felt a lot like a relay race. You kind of take the baton and run with it, and you hopefully don't undo the good work that your predecessor did. Hopefully, add some value to it and then pass it on. And I mean, that way it was. It was a challenge also to kind of get a sense of what Antara is thinking in episode 1 and how I can carry it in episode 2, and then what Manas is thinking in episode 3, and then how can carry it in episode 4. But it was also hugely inspiring, and getting sandwiched between two such fine editors made it a little easier. But it was a little bit of a challenge for me personally to understand how to kind of give it a uniform feel. There are three editors, which should seem like one show, right? It
Yeah,
feel like
right.
three shows.
It's important.
And that was a little bit of a tricky one for me, but it was hugely enjoyable also.
Okay. Antara, you edited the first part of it, right? And then it went to Manas and Parikshit. So how
Yeah.
was it? How was it editing the first piece? Because that gives the first feel of the gritty crime series, crime genre based series. So,
Right. I think it's a lot of what both Parikshit and Manas mentioned, that it is like a relay race. And you just have to, I mean, there's no scope to falter. That's, I think, the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Because one, and as Parikshit just said, one can't seem different from the other four episodes that are there.
Yeah.
So that was, of course, a big task in itself. But I think what generally helps is that the director is the one who's overseeing all the episodes. So if we are kind of going, and we also, it really helped that amongst us, the three editors had a very open channel of communication. So we knew if I was unsure about something, I could check in with them, or they could check in with me on something that they are unsure of. If there's a particular kind of edit style that I am trying, or some kind of pattern that one of them was trying, we were having conversations about that, and we were able to, in fact, I remember Manas. There was one sequence that you were very excited about, and you had shared that with us because he was really happy after cutting that. So I think it just helps to have that open channel of communication between
So
the three of
was
us. And they were like,
yeah. What was the sequence? Which
yeah,
particular one? Like,
I think it was a chase sequence from
It
the
was
last
the
episode.
when they go to her house in Ghaziabad
yeah.
and
Like,
they find her husband and the
Yeah.
kid.
right. Uh-huh. Okay.
So yeah, so that was it. And I think broadly though, the other challenge was that all of us were big fans of season one,
Yeah.
and we wanted to not be similar to season one, but also maintain the integrity of season one. So in that respect, that was, I think, another challenge that we were really facing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think these were broadly for me, these were two of the biggest things I was looking at.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, as editors, like, whom do you actually collaborate? Like, which other team do you have to collaborate more from a series perspective? Like, you are an editing team, but is it the director, or whom is it that you have to work in most in tandem?
It's the director. In our case, in a show, normally we have a couple of designated people. One is a director, one is a showrunner. In our case, both the roles were played by Tanuj himself. So he was pretty much with us uh, remotely, but with us since the very beginning and till the last day. In fact, because the finale episode was mine, we managed to lock the episode only as recently as April this year. So he was there with me and the other two editors through and through, and that's essentially the primary collaboration that we do in all our films or shows that we do. Uh, in this show, I would also mention that not directly, but the musician Kerry, I think he played a big role in
Yeah.
how our edits were shaping up along the whole journey. He and Tanuj are longtime collaborators, and they were able to give us some themes pretty early uh, into our edits, which really helped us, inspired us in
Yeah.
how our rhythmically our story would flow.
Okay.
And we don't often get that I would say luxury,
Right.
so this time it was pretty special.
Fantastic. So, like, as editors or as a team, do you take a call about how many episodes it should spread into a particular content? Like, I have seen series which run into 9 episodes, 10 episodes, and some have content where each episode will be within 30 minutes. Like, particularly on Zoom, sorry, not Zoom, on Voot, I've seen the series are within 30, the lab. They cover up everything within 30 minutes each episode, but this one was only 5 episodes and very crisp, very gritty, and investing, I would say. So, who takes that call? Any one of you can answer. Like,
It's a it's a collective call. It happens. I mean, generally, when a project starts, they kind of know how many episodes they're shooting, and if things go, I mean, but there's always a space to improvise, to also to to discuss whether it needs so many episodes. Maybe it can be done in a short number of episodes. Maybe it can be
yeah,
crisper and tighter. So there's, or generally there is that space for collaboration and discussion. But obviously, when they start, they need to know how many episodes, for so many reasons, or production reasons, or a lot depends on how many episodes right? They've conceived it. The writers, the creators have conceived it a particular way. So generally, they have something in mind, but there's also a space for collaboration and evolution.
so you have to liaise with the with the director and the writer as well, right? For taking a final call about
See, our
how.
primary contact point is generally the director. Our primary contact point and all our discussions primarily with the director. And then, I mean, either together or depending on how the relations and equations are with the production, with the writer team, then that discussion gets carried forward.
Okay, yeah, great. So, like, when it comes to editing, right? What is the kind of mindset? Like, you would have edited different kind of content which belong to different genres, right? And for a series like Delhi Crime 2, which is based on real incidents and very dark and which is of dark tonality and very tense and heavy drama. So, what is the kind of mindset that you have to be in for making it a good content in terms of editing? Antara, any thoughts about it?
Antara, you have to start.
You have edited many shows. Like Rudra was one of the
Yeah.
was one of the acclaimed part which you acclaimed series which you edited, and that was also a crime based an investigation. So,
Yeah.
what kind of mindset
Yeah.
required to shape up a
I mean,
film series?
yeah, I don't think the editor's mindset necessarily changes as per, otherwise we'd be really crazy because we do so many different kinds of jobs. So I don't think our mindset is necessarily what changes. It's just that you have to have an overall approach that is conducive to that particular genre.
Yeah,
And I think a certain amount of interest in that genre would obviously help, because crime as such, also Delhi Crime is it's not a crime thriller. It's also a human drama. It's a human
right.
story at the end of the day.
Emotional aspects.
So I think just having, yeah, and I think if you negate that part from the human element from a story like Delhi Crime, then it'll just fall flat. So retaining that human element was very necessary. So I think just being aware of the nuances of a particular genre, because I mean, a genre is really a broad stroke, but you also have to be aware of the nuances of every genre. And what is it that where does your show fall on that spectrum? So I think just being aware of that is
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, yeah. Right. As you said, like Delhi Crime, like it blended crime as well as the human aspects or the emotional aspects, right? Like, how important is it for the editing team or the editors to understand that particular aspect and make it somewhat like an homogeneous product, right? You blended both the different content, entirely divergent contents, and brought it together, like, right? So how important is it for any editor to bring that kind of content? Manas or Parikshit
It's,
can.
I feel it's extremely important because you invest not just a lot of time and effort into it, but I think a part of you also into the story. So to have, and I think that is the aspect of creativity that we as creative collaborators yearn for.
Yeah,
So after the writing stage is over and shooting, etc., we are working in close quarters with the director in shaping the story
right,
of the show, film, whatever we are working on.
right.
And I think emotionally, if it doesn't resonate with us, at least I believe it will never resonate with the audience.
Correct.
So it is, one has to invest in it in equal amounts, like the writer, like the filmmaker
Uh-huh.
himself, herself, that, how do you make it click for you? Say, for example, this is a crime show, but a lot of times we also edit comedy. A lot of times sometimes we edit horror, sometimes we
Right.
edit, hardcore action stuff. Whatever it is, the thumb rule for us, more or less, is that if we are feeling, impacted by it,
Yeah.
and because we are literally looking at it from morning to evening every day, almost 4 months, 6 months at a stretch, if even after that much amount of time, if we are feeling impacted by it,
Yeah.
then it will definitely reach the audience.
Right.
So the editor ends up playing that vital role in bridging this sort of gap between the maker and the audience,
Yeah.
along with other post-production artists. But it starts with the editing per se. So an emotional investment of our own is also very vital.
Right.
And also to add to whatever Antara said in your previous question, in terms of mindset, I feel a certain amount of preparation is also sometimes required. Say, for example, when you're entering a certain project with this kind of a canvas where you're also dealing with the human angle, you're also dealing with the thriller aspect of it.
Right.
There are these various beats that you're going to sort of run through with the audience. I think orienting yourself around what other masterful work is done in this space in genre, that helps for sure. And say, for example, I am not some. This is my first dabble with crime drama or thriller. Before this, I've been mostly doing human dramas,
But
slice of life
Manas, did you
stories.
work with many series, many shows like Class of '83, and even you were part of Byomkesh Bakshi, right? Detective Byomkesh Bakshi with Dibakar Banerjee.
I was, but there
Within
also
that
our
stable
angle
kind of
was, I mean, Class of
mindset.
'83 is something that was
Yeah.
Class of '83 was again more of a revenge drama than an action thriller, actually.
Yeah.
And this time here, but Delhi Crime is a different animal altogether. And no matter how much you combat this, this baggage of the stature of season one,
Yeah.
you can never sort of match up to it in many ways.
Yeah.
So, but without I think, but there's only a certain limit till which we took that pressure. We just wanted to put our best work out there.
Yeah.
And as Parikshit earlier said, it was not an easy journey, as three different minds were bringing one story together. But I think somewhere we gelled as people very early into the project, which really sort of reflects on how now finally it has shaped out. And lastly, I also think that I don't know, by design or by accident,
Yeah.
it just so happens that we did manage to get episodes that suit our personality more than others. Like, for example,
Okay.
episode 3,
Hmm.
in terms of plot and action, there's not really much happening in episode 3, and
Yeah.
that is something that is totally up my alley. So I was super happy
Okay.
that the story is not going anywhere now.
Okay.
So let me have fun.
Okay.
So I don't have to take that pressure, but it was intense and great fun.
Yeah. Great.
And
Parikshit,
just to add to that, yeah, just sorry, you want to ask?
no, you were saying something. Yeah.
No, I want to add to that. I agree with everything Manas said. I would just like to say that, apart from the fact that we gelled as people, as just people, as editors, we also had a lot of discussion around themes, and what is the themes that attracted us to the
Right.
project and what should come out. And
Right.
I think that really helped shape our decisions. Even, there is a reason why we choose a particular B-roll shot or city shot. It
Right.
is not just random. There is a particular reason, and all that comes from a lot of discussion, a lot of thinking about what the show is actually about.
Right.
So, while of course the raw material is in the writing and the way it's shot, the buck finally stops at the edit.
Okay.
Not only are you the first audience, you're also the last. I mean, not to discount what sound does and what post does, but the shaping of the story finally ends at the edit.
Right. Right.
So you have to take the final decisions along with, of course, your collaborators, of course.
Okay.
But you have to create at least fertile ground for
Yeah.
sound, for VFX, for everybody to take over and make it really, really blossom.
Right.
So it's a matter of balancing a lot of things so that while they've written it, it needs to flow well from one track to another, from one emotion to another. So while these concepts like pace and rhythm are abstract, we have to deal with it in very tangible terms. Like staying on a shot for 4 seconds longer changes the rhythm, changes how you feel about
Right.
it. Right. So those decisions have to be taken at the end.
Correct. Amazing. Yeah. So, Parikshit, like for all three of you, I'm going to ask you, which was your favorite show or film that you really enjoyed editing? Okay, I'm not giving you Delhi Crime, okay, because Delhi Crime, we are talking on Delhi Crime, so that is discounted here. So, apart from Delhi Crime, which is one of your favorite film or show that you really enjoyed editing?
It's stuff that we have worked on, yeah, or other people.
No, individually. I'm not asking about as a group, or it can be your any favorite,
Oh, okay.
favorite you loved working on.
Oh, we loved working on, like,
Yeah,
individually, like what
yeah. You loved.
our work.
You got really
Oh,
excited and really enjoyed the work. Apart from Daily Crime.
I generally tend to enjoy editing, so I enjoy everything that I edit. But I thoroughly enjoyed Tubber. I edited Tubber, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
Tubber is a show on Sony Live,
Yeah.
yeah, and I edited that. And I mean, yeah, I mean, if you, but there's so many other things that are great to watch. Like, I love Breaking Bad, I love Mindhunter, I love Peaky Blinders. There's such, I mean, thanks to OTTs, you have access to so
Yeah.
many great things to watch.
Yeah. Manas, what about you? You have made.
So I mean, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I told that you edited many films like Byomkesh Bakshi Detective, The Class of 80. Then there was Death in the Ganj. So anything, anyone you specifically enjoy?
I mean, yeah. So I think there is a part of me in all of the work that I've put in, and I end up getting very emotionally involved in. These two would know that more. Emotionally involved in whatever I do. So it's hard to pick, but I would definitely single out three projects that are very close to my heart. Sorry, it's not one. Is that the first is Mukti Bhavan. It's a very special film for me,
Adil Hussain.
and the way it resonated with the world, not just Indians but even the world, was extremely special to us.
Yeah.
One film, A Death in the Ganj, is a film that I am myself a fan of. Like,
Okay.
I am just in awe of that film.
Yeah.
And I feel, and I've said this to Konkona and even my producers several times, that I feel privileged to be part of that film. It's just so special, and these such films are not made very often.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think primarily because it was pretty early in my career, but it was one of the most difficult edits for me was Brahman Naman.
Okay.
It's India's first Netflix original film, and it was a very unique film. It was pretty challenging for me, so it's very close to my heart.
Fantastic, Manas. Thanks a lot. What about you, Antara?
I think, as Manas and Parikshit said, that it's really difficult. I mean, we invest an equal amount of effort in every project we work on, regardless of whether it's low budget or high budget. And, because it's one of those things that when people come to us with projects and they say, oh, budget low hai, but point is that our effort is still the same.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 5 crore budget or a 50 crore budget, an editor is always going to put in the same amount of effort. So going from that, it's, you love all your projects equally because you've given so much of yourself to them.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, working on, as you said, any of these, for Rudra, or prior to that, I'd done a film called Ye Ballet for Netflix.
Yeah.
So that was very special as well. I had done a series called Four More Shots, Please, the first season. That's on Amazon Prime. So I enjoyed working on that as well. And generally, I think that there's a film called Bhangra Pale, which actually kind of found it didn't do well in theaters, but eventually found its audience on Netflix. It's very simple storytelling, and I don't think we see a lot of that basic, simple, beautiful storytelling anymore. So I enjoyed working on, I think all my last few projects have all been very close to me.
Great. Thanks a lot.
I have to say, Antara's early film, Mere Dad Ki Maruti, is something that I'm a huge fan of.
We spoke about that,
We take comedy editing very lightly, but it's not easy, and how effortlessly she achieved that. I have to give credit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. It was lovely speaking to you guys and also knowing the nuances and the aspects of those things which happen behind the camera. Thanks for giving your time, and I wish you all the very best for your next projects, and have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you for having me.
you.
Thanks a lot.